leadership team at Times Internet. He is the founder and CEO of MenXP and the India Times Lifestyle Network, or ILN. ILN is a new media network that runs Gen Z focused brands like iDiva, India Times, and other brands. Under Angad's leadership, MenXP has emerged as a clear category leader in the men's grooming, wellness, and fashion segment, cutting across media, video influencers, and now a full stack commerce company. MenXP is India's biggest men's destination with a marketplace of over 400 top DTC brands, including its own private labels like MenXP Basics, Mud, and more. At the core of it, MenXP is a content commerce company that translates audience trust into a suite of transactional offerings. That's about Mr. Angad Bhatia, and over to you, Mr. Bhatia.
Thank you, Shilpa, for introducing me, and delighted to be on this forum, and can't wait to get started. I have a small presentation, so I'm just going to quickly share my screen. All right, guys. So Shilpa, just give me a heads up if you can see my screen and if you can hear me, and then I'll start with my presentation.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So guys, thank you for welcoming me, and excited to be here. My screen doesn't show me who all are here, but I would have ideally loved to see all of your faces. For those of you who don't know, Men's XP is a part of Times Internet. Men's XP was a company which I founded, which was acquired by Times Internet back in 2012, 2013 approximately. And it's had a very interesting journey of building out, let's just say, one of the most incredible sort of advertising niche advertising businesses in the country. And then about a year back, sort of foraying into a full stack commerce approach, which is atypical of most content companies, which typically go into either affiliate services or build programs to aid merchandising and branding. Men's XP sort of forayed into like a full stack commerce company, thereby sort of making it competitive with, say, essentially is building a Nykaa for men. So again, for those who don't know Men's XP, it's the largest men's lifestyle brand. Monthly, it connects with over 60 million people across its social and owned assets, about 15 million users on its owned assets, on its website. So over, I think, 1.5 million DAUs, and about 1 million plus shoppers every month. Right. Of course, it enjoys top of mind recall in the men's category. It has, the three main categories are grooming, wellness, and fashion. And across most of its metrics, it's bigger in terms of engagement, in terms of, reach, about 10x bigger than most of the scaled D2C companies in this category, about 20x bigger than most marketplaces, and about 30x bigger than most media companies in the same category. And of course, given its sort of pedigree, it's really developed some powerful content and content IPs, and some of its video shows have been extremely viral, to say the least. Every year, Men's XP produces over 100,000 articles, over 5,000 original videos, over 10 to 11 web series, and sort of works with partners like Facebook, Instagram, Flipkart, Myntra, Amazon, Netflix, Prime, to create sort of original sort of content. Right? To sort of just summing this up, broadly put, Men's XP cuts across all touch points in the men's lifestyle category, right? Across publishing, across social, across video. It also runs its own exclusive talent agency, or a creator slash influencer agency, and it helps advertisers connect with sort of this range of some of India's top Instagram and YouTube creators. In 2019, leveraging its massive reach, we forayed into commerce, and the intent was to essentially use the community trust that we had built over the last, say, 7, 8 years of existence, and to really leverage that to build a unique sort of a business model. And in the last year or so, we've onboarded over 400 of the top D2C brands, the top D2C men's brands. We've built a suite of our own sort of direct to consumer offerings, including Men's XP Mud, which is actually India's first men's makeup brand. Men's XP Basics, which is a sort of a basics for men's brand, and then so on and so forth. At the core of this entire endeavor is our ability to be able to, uh, is sort of our ability to be able to translate our audience and community trust into commerce. And that's sort of what we internally refer to as the Men's XP secret sauce, our content commerce flywheel, if you will, which as it churns, it translates this sort of massive top of the funnel reach that we've built into sort of the suite of transactional offerings. Right at the core of this endeavor lies a 4-step content commerce consumer journey that we've built, right? And starts with brand awareness, and there are specific teams which are dedicated to the way we build models for brand awareness. There are specific teams which do product recommendations. And then closer to the conversion funnel, we have teams dedicated to converting our PDP pages or our list pages into really sort of meaningful pages that convert about, I would say, at least 200% better than most of the bigger, more established, without naming them, beauty and fashion, the biggest beauty and fashion marketplaces in the country. Right, and of course our proprietary tech around one-on-one recommendation post purchase. So essentially, when somebody buys something on Men's XP, they get custom content dedicated around the usage of that product, or sort of some content, exclusive content, which typically is put either behind paywalls. We give that out for free as a sort of means to create more attention and trust onto this community. So essentially, the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through some case studies across the simple 4-step funnel of sorts that we've created for Men's XP. Right, so this is an example of a recent campaign Men's XP did with Philips. It's essentially the intent of the campaign was to bring to the fore the importance of hygiene in men, and especially sort of hygiene down there. And the campaign called Cut the Crap really sort of gained a lot of organic attention, right? It reached the views, the 10-second views on this are over 16 million. As you can see, we had over 1.5 million shares and over almost 900,000 to 1 million comments, which is spectacular in this day when, most of reach is purchased by brands on social media. Really leveraging sort of this community trust and aligning to what the community is expecting and integrating a brand message into that, weaving the brand message into the same sort of space. Men's XP is still able to sort of get these kind of impact. This is again an interesting example. It's a very unique format that Men's XP runs called the digital cover. So every month, much like how print magazines do, they highlight a celebrity who's sort of, making the news for something. In this particular digital cover, Men's XP had reached out to this a popular Punjabi pop cult star, Jassi Gill. And he was clothed in, of course, a collection which was exclusively created for him on Men's XP. And the way the experience was designed was, as you were reading the content, you would be showcased, everything that Jassi was wearing, and then sort of not only did this type of content do well on top of the funnel metrics like shares and of course time spent, but also has had a direct relationship with conversion. Siddharth Batra is now one of the top influencers, actually sort of groomed at Men's XP. He's one of the top fashion influencers on Instagram today, and he actually did a show for us called Style Up, and the intent of the show was very, very directly built around helping users navigate their style. And once they were able to do that, navigating them towards closer to the purchase funnel. So while these things are harder to explain on slides, the way the product function is like a deep integration between video and commerce, right? So, and that's closer again, step two towards our purchase funnel. Uh, Another example is, in this case, recommending quite literally a top list of some of the most popular D2C perfume brands in the country, right? So organically, in about I think 3 days, an article like this or this particular article had done over 25,000 views and had over 450 sort of purchases out of the 25,000 views. So for any sort of digital marketing there in the forum, who is on the other side of the universe trying to convert their sort of digital advertising dollars into customer acquisition cost, they will understand the value of 25,000 page views to a 450 cart is something that is less than about 15 rupees add to cart, which a 15 rupees customer acquisition cost, which can only be enabled if you have one, a community which has its trust on you, and two, if you have a massive sort of top of the funnel reach, and that to an in category reach, right? Similar to what I showed you in the last slide, every month millions of young Indian men come and turn to Men's XP to sort of address their hair loss problems. And the way we help them navigate is, I'll just show you this example on the screen, which is moving. While you're in the while you're reading the article, these articles recommend products, and to the Men's XP community, give out special codes or discount codes, thereby creating not only an environment of impulse purchase, but also at the same time solving their biggest wellness problems. The way the core to this is that our sourcing and category teams on our shop side are designed to only bring in brands into our shop universe which are recommended by our editorial teams, right? And then of course, similar to how I outline in the case of wellness, even grooming, one of the most progressive topics Men's XP champions is beauty for men. In this particular article, Men's XP has recommended the best under eye creams for dark circles. And the article not only had sort of over 2,000 shares, over 650 carts, and led to over 100 purchases. Right. So again, these are examples after examples of how the customer journey from content flows into commerce. Our biggest moat that we've been able to create in this category, I feel, is our ability to be able to sort of translate a lot of hype that is created on social media onto and sort of have a very direct conversion funnel from it. So this is a sort of a example for the Men's XP Man box. Just in interest of time, I'm jumping to one particular case study, which is that of Men's XP Mud, which actually cuts across starting from brand awareness to product recommendation to sort of aiding purchase decision all the way till enabling retention. Right? So like I mentioned, this is the brand, Men's XP Mud, India's first men for beauty brand. And as you can see, this is a brand that sort of came across all four. All right. So, as the content may not be easily visible out here, Men's XP social channel, Men's XP Mud's social channel today compete not only with their channels in category, but have actually become sort of these conduits of connection to this really, really surging men's beauty community in the country. Right. So some of the content that they create on social media have led to over 80,000 social shares across one specific video. You can see in the second sort of mobile screen the product recommendation. In this particular article, there's a recommendation of 5 beauty and makeup hacks to look freshly groomed and ready for the festive season, written by one of our experts, had an average time spent of over 4 minutes. And then, of course, core to our content journey is our ability to be able to create experiences on the way our PDP pages work, right? So, like I mentioned, most beauty and fashion and leading beauty and fashion marketplaces in the country just give you, say, 20% of the information genuinely required to make an informed purchase decision. At Men's XP, we have really invested a lot of resources, money, time, and the knowledge that we've been able to develop for this category over the last 7-8 years to really get into the the nuts and bolts of what the category requirements are, and thereby have created A plus PDP pages, and thereby we see almost a 300% better conversion rate and almost a 50% lower return rate than most of these companies. Even now at a scale that very soon we are, most likely, competitive with some of these marketplaces in terms of our daily orders and so on and so forth. Like I mentioned, the last program, every time one of the most sought after products for Men's XP Mud is a product called the Men's XP BB Cream, which is essentially a blemish balm, which helps you conceal your dark circles, or if there sort of any sort of irregularities on your face and on men's faces. Every time, and because not only because it's a progressive product, but also because it's a product which is not typical in a man's cupboard in India today. And it's a conversation around men's beauty that we're trying to normalize. Every time somebody buys a men's BB cream, a video on how to use that product is sent to them. There is a WhatsApp channel that opens up for consultation on how they may use not only that product, but some of the other products in the category of men's beauty, right? So, sort of, if you look at the stack of the way content is cutting across, from brand awareness to recommendation to helping consumers make better purchase decision, all the way till retention, it's really become like the backbone of the way Men's XP has built its entire sort of business. The most common or sort of there's a misnomer around content that it's it's like the most integral requirement for content is to aid discovery. And when we get tagged as a content commerce company, that is sort of like the first that's the first impression that comes to mind. However, I think that's far from the truth. While that's like about 25% of the story, the remaining 75% is cut across these four buckets.
नमस्ते दोस्तों, वेलकम टू अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ रियल मैन कैन कुक। आज हम पकाने जा रहे हैं आपकी 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 और हम सबकी पसंदीदा डिश।
All right, so I think that's it for me. I've tried to keep it short and concise. Happy to take any questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
That was a wonderful session, Angad. We have a couple of questions here from the audience. The first one asks, how was your revenue during COVID pandemic? Have you taken any special steps to retain the income?
That's a fantastic question, actually. So March 24th, as the lockdown kicked in, we had to unfortunately cease our operations. By July, as the PIN codes gradually started opening up, and the rules for sort of logistics around non-essential started opening up, our operations started opening up. What I can safely tell you is that we are now at about a 600% growth from our pre-COVID numbers, right? So it's been a sporadic rise for our commerce ambitions, and the steps that we've had to take were, of course, in line with some of the industry best practices. There is a whole sort of stack of rules which most 3PL logistic and warehousing companies are working on these days. And Men's XP works with most of them, be it delivery, be it powered through Shiprocket or Easy Pick and Picker and so on and so forth. So I hope that addresses a part of your question.
Yeah, there are a couple of more questions. I think I'm going to combine two of these questions. First one asks, what is the revenue model? Is it a paid website or through sales of the product? And the second question asks, do you manufacture products also?
So fantastic question. Think of Men's XP like Nykaa. It's like Nykaa for men. It's a beauty marketplace, except Nykaa is a beauty marketplace and Men's XP is a marketplace for men. The three categories that it focuses on, one is grooming. So you'll find an extensive range of grooming products. You will find an extensive range of wellness products, and you'll also find an extensive range of fashion brands listed on Men's XP, right? So it's essentially a marketplace where you'll find some of the best brands for men. It also has its own private labels, like Flipkart does, like Amazon does, like Nykaa does. One of its private labels is a brand called Mud, which is a men's makeup brand. And there are about, I think now close to about 9 of our own private labels, which you will see interspersed across these categories. The revenue model is twofold. The first one is through commerce of sales of product. And the second one is through advertising, which is broadly in line with how a Nykaa or a Myntra or internationally an ASOS or Farfetch work.
Thanks, Angad. There's also another question from an audience who is asking the ratio of revenue from ads and e-commerce.
Wow, fantastic question. Actually, so our commerce revenues overshot our media revenues November of 2020. So as of November 2020, our commerce revenues crossed our media revenues. And now I think by 2021, our commerce revenues are most likely going to be close to 7 or 8x of our media revenues. That's the best I can answer in this forum.
There's another user asking a question about what are the challenges you faced when you developed content marketing, and how did users behave on social media?
So again, a fantastic question. Look, by the virtue of the category Men's XP has been in, there has been a natural sort of bias, or rather a natural proclivity towards product recommendations. So product recommendations have always been an inherent part of, let's just say our editorial strategy. The only issue has been that because of your last mile attribution and last click attribution issues, and while value around discovery is mainly created by publishers and creators on social media, most of the value is let's just say exercised either by the middlemen padding margins like Google and Facebook, or by the marketplace, who essentially sort of complete the purchase. We wanted to build this full stack approach where we go from discovery to sort of selling the product. So that we can not only sort of create this value chain for us, but also pass back a lot of perks back to the customer. So that's essentially what we've done. I don't know if that helps answer your question, but initially when we forayed into commerce, we didn't have a lot of like pushback. It was almost as if our audience was expecting us to do it. And for them, we were doing affiliate sales for about a year and a half before that. So for them, it was actually much easier. And I think the transition into commerce from our audience has been like fairly good and very natural, actually. I mean, it's harder, like, if you're a news publisher, and you're selling like grooming products all of a sudden, that's jarring and it doesn't sort of flow. But not in our category, because our category always, even our editorial categories always have been like fashion and beauty and grooming and wellness, and so it just sort of flew in more, there was more context to commerce.
Great. We have more questions coming in, Angad, for you. I think this is a great question. Would this model work without the backup of a big media group such as BCCL? Is this model for suitable for smaller publishers too?
Look, you know, I read a quote somewhere that in this economy, uh, attracting eyeballs no longer sets you apart. Essentially, keeping the minds of the people who already have their eyes on you, right? Keeping their attention is what the game is all about. So my recommendation to newer publishers would be that if you are able to find a niche and if you're able to hold audiences, uh, then by all means commerce makes sense for you. And I think this entire ecosystem in the US is really surging, and like hence the whole creator merch ecosystem, right? Like Taylor Swift can launch an album on YouTube herself and launch a song and an album called Cardigan and actually drop a cardigan merch on a random website, and you'll have millions of sales of that product, right? So this entire ecosystem is built on trust, right? Even drawing analogies on the media ecosystem, there is a fantastic platform called Substack, right? And so many fantastic journalists and authors have built paid followings for themselves, and that's a testament to the trust and inherent trust created by the author and the journalist onto its community. And I think that's essentially what it's all about. If you are able to find a niche and create an audience that genuinely connects with you and your content, and is not just sort of stumbled across your content, like, you know, a lot social media is built on like incidental discovery. What differentiates a one hit wonder to somebody who can consistently create viral hits is tested on these lines, right? So if you can consistently do what you're doing and get a lot of audiences, then by all means extension to commerce makes sense.
Great. Here's another interesting question from another viewer, Angad. Considering there aren't many examples of e-commerce integrated into journalism in India, I immediately think of New York Times and how they are capitalizing on e-commerce. What would you say your learnings have been from that model?
So I think whoever's asked this question is referring to Wirecutter. New York Times about 4 years back acquired a company called Wirecutter, which which was essentially a blog recommending tech products. So if the person who's asked you a question, if that's the reference, I'll just sort of assume that's the reference. Look, New York Times, like I said, is sort of like the epitome of a brand built on trust, right? And that's sort of like the bedrock of why New York Times has showcased that in an ecosystem where content, there's a dearth of content, right? There is just no shortage of commentary. They can still build $1 billion subscription business. Like that's the beauty of New York Times, and that's because of the community trust and the narrative and the consistency in programming that they've been able to build. So Wirecutter, of course, is an extension to that voice that New York Times has been able to create. And unlike Men's XP, however, Wirecutter still remains to be an affiliate business, which essentially means that you can click on links and then you can go and buy the products either on Amazon or on Macy's or on, you know, bestbuy.com or whatever it is. So it's a slightly different model.
Yeah, we have a few more questions coming in here. One asks, did your content's organic reach suffer through distribution platforms like search engines or Google?
That is a fantastic question, actually. So let me take this platform wise. On social media, there's been no impact. In fact, our organic numbers have only been rising. We've set up a separate channel to address commerce on social media, and our content recommendation are continue to show an upward organic trend. On search, however, while we were very, very cognizant of our fact that our organic reach may depreciate, because as it does, media is typically higher, content is higher, commerce is lower, we've actually seen the opposite. Our search traffic has actually quadrupled in the last 18 months. And I think that's also because the way we've managed our commerce stack and our media stack and the way we've done those affiliations are done so that the inherent aspect of the why the platform was built on solving problems hasn't changed, right? So it's still built on there's still an information architecture on which all of Men's XP is built, and then commerce sort of organically integrates into that ecosystem so that the purchase funnel becomes easier. So maybe whoever it is, like, please reach out to me. I'd love to chat up with you and show you what we've done. But that's something that's been really at the top of our mind, and the way we've navigated that has really taken a lot of our efforts.
Great. I think, Angad, this is the last question we have here as of now. How exactly can this idea be fitted into news websites?
So like I said, look, news is very, very difficult. There is a paradigm shift in which most news publishers work globally. So like in the US, there is a clear sort of demarcation on the type of, what type of media sort of has alliances or, sort of gravitates towards what kind of sentiment. There are news verticals designed for the Republicans, one for Democrats. In India, however, it has largely been more democratic, right? News is built around a simple premise on creating a large top of the funnel ecosystem. However, there are some which are changing that narrative. And amongst my favorite, of course, is from our own company, Economic Times. Economic Times is not only the biggest sort of business and finance publisher in the country, but has also been very, very successful in launching these smaller industry verticals. So like an ET Auto, ET Telecom, right, ET CIO, and the following that they've been able to create, and thereby the subscription businesses that they've been able to build in that category has been really, really something for anyone who's aspiring in that, building something in that category to really sort of model around, right? So again, the recommendation for news publishers is, again, find the type of community that you want to build and the type of news that you want to create. Like ET has really found a niche community like ET Auto and Telecom, and about 20 such verticals. Like Scroll has been able to build a very interesting business model internationally. If you look at some of the top journalists who've built their followings on Substack, see some of the work that they're doing and the kind of merch extensions that they've created. I think that's what sort of the game is all about right now. I wouldn't recommend creating a generic news website vying to top like search results, without focusing too much on brand and identity and community. Because I don't think you'll ever be able to scale to the likes of, like for every brand which does 30 million monthly active users, there are 10 more that do 40, and then there are like, I don't know, 100 more that do 10, and then there are probably like 1,000 more which do 5, and probably 10,000 more which do like 2 million MAUs a month, right? So the category and the sort of, I don't know, because the medium is so democratic, right? Anybody can start blogging and writing and things like that. And because the entry barrier is so low, the long tail in this category is so huge that to differentiate, you really have to sort of think outside the boundaries of how most of these companies have thought for the last 10 years.
Great. Thank you, Angad. I'm sure the deluge of questions was a testimony to how interesting the session was. We have run out of time as of now. Thank you for that wonderful session, and thank you, viewers. Now I request you to go back to the timeline and move on to our next session. Once again, thank you, Mr. Angad. Great
Thank you.
session.
Thank you, guys. Bye.